Hello friends, and welcome to Fishcraft. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much. Fishcraft is my Minecraft survival series that I've had for over a year now. I could proudly say, goodness gracious. And in that year, I have somehow managed to catch a whopping 244,000 fish. And that's not counting the treasure or the trash items or anything. It's just the fish. Which probably sounds like a lot, but I'll be honest, if I didn't have to build everything all the time, I easily could have doubled that. It feels actually quite weird saying that I build so often, considering, you know, I would consider myself a fisherman more than a builder. But my goodness, do these buildings require a lot of prep work on my end? I'm not a very natural architect, so a lot of the time I have to spend a whole bunch of time in a creative world trying to get a lot of these buildings all planned out. And it does work, but it certainly takes away from my fishing time. That being said, we have... Oh goodness, sorry. That was really loud. That being said, we have a lot of fishing and a lot of building we have planned for today's episode. But really, I think it's just going to be a bunch of resource gathering and a lot of plotting because, oh my goodness, I've been very busy in my creative world. I've been in there for almost a week now, designing and building a big old building, which I guess I could consider the mega base, but I wouldn't exactly consider it mega, because the building is big, but I don't think it kind of goes into that threshold. So in my last video, I mentioned that I kind of wanted to build an apothecary castle or some sort of attached to this here apothecary that we've got behind us, and I think that's exactly what we're gonna do, and I'm really excited for it. I did already go through and I marked where I want the actual castle to go itself with these giant dirt pillars. I may end up changing where the castle's gonna go, but for now I just need to mark the general location, and I definitely want it to be next to the apothecary because it is an apothecary castle after all. I'm hoping that it would match the theme with the with everything else we've got going on here, like the pointed, like, wizardy looking roof and stuff. Oh geez, yeah, this is quite wizardy actually. So I definitely think it'll match in terms of like theme and stuff. Although we're probably not going to see it done until next video, I suppose. But this one, we're just going to be doing a bunch of fishing. We're going to be setting the groundwork, and we're going to be maybe building some of the outer walls. And I think that's about it. That's about probably all I could do. This is a quite a mammoth task for me after just doing a bunch of tinier builds in a row and going just straight into jumping into building a mega base. I had zero plans for this castle until the very end of the last video. Something clicked and I was like, well, I'm gonna make a big old castle. Big old castle. Yep. We're doing it. Oh, that's right. I completely forgot I need to name these kitty cats here. All right, here we go. So for the main wizard cat, we have Willow the Wizard, named for Turtle Master in honor of their good friend Willow. Thank you so much for the name. Then for the second cat, we have Alabaster, which comes from Prismatic Hue. Thank you so much. And then finally, we have Solis, which was a recommendation from Rain. Thank you so much. 3 lovely names for the 3 lovely cats. There's Willow, there's Alabaster, then we have Solis. I love them all. The 3 twins. Thank you so much again, everybody, for leaving such lovely names all the time. I do appreciate you all. Kitty cat names aside, we need to try and get started on trying to figure out where it is we want this castle to be placed. Or at least we need to figure out how we're going to be terraforming around the castle so that we can make it fit properly. But before I do that, I do really want to go do some fishing really quickly, so we're going to jump straight into my regular fishing and stuff. And against my better judgment, I have decided to do a little time lapse of the sorts, mostly because this does represent about a week and a half of my time. This was 36 hours of footage, I'm realizing. Although this particular fishing trip that I just went in was only a couple hours long, so this right here is the entire week or two that I've been fishing, condensed down into one video. Also, I was really worried about the flashing and stuff for time lapses, so I've decided that I'm not going to be using the daytime cycle anymore for the time lapses and stuff. And the little fishing time lapse, we actually we did manage to do a bit of fishing. We sat there for I guess a couple hours. But the amount of fishing that I've been doing this week has been, I feel like it's been quite productive. And it might seem weird, but whenever I'm not building in my creative world, I'm pretty much just sat at my computer, just casting my line, just doing a little bit of fishing whenever I can. And it does feel weird that I don't like record while I do it. I do like to just have it all done and dusted out the way, and then sometimes sprinkled throughout the video. However, with the amount that I actually do, it makes it hard to do anything but time lapses for fishing. I mean, because I've got what, probably over 20 hours of fishing footage this past couple weeks or so. Nope, definitely not. I just checked. 36 hours of replay footage I just had to edit down. Good grief, 36 hours. I have some issues. Right. Well, with the fishing and stuff out of the way for now, I say, I think it's time for us to move on to doing our terraforming clearing and such, because this is I've got my pillars here. They're ready. They're marking the way. All that's left really to do is to just start flattening out this area over here with all the trees and stuff. But we need to also I need to grab a notepad of some sort, and we need to write down all the different names that we had inside of the little pumpkin patch over here, because last year around October, oh my gosh, that was almost a year ago, I set up this little pumpkin patch here for Halloween, and anybody who wanted their name on a pumpkin, they just would comment, and then we would just put them all on a pumpkin. So we got a whole pumpkin patch here filled with people's names, and it's cute. Oh wow, I just jumped straight in here. That fit perfectly. Anyway, this whole pumpkin patch is directly in the middle of the apothecary castle thing. So maybe we can just move the pumpkin patch somewhere inside the apothecary once we're all finished. But for the time being, I do need to move this pumpkin patch temporarily to a different location, and it's so weird seeing all these names again. One of the ones that I remember doing the most is Pazuka, because whenever I was recording it, I said Pazuka, and I say that all the time now. Oh, that's right. I forgot that I also wanted to potentially, since we're already working in this whole area over here with the castle and such at some point, I wanted to maybe do a remodeling of the sorts of the little starter base here, because it's something. It's definitely not good, I'll say that. Which is quite weird, considering I thought this was like one of my best builds when I first made it. But looking at it now, compared to what I've been making, it kind of is. It's lacking, and it seems very desaturated, right? Seems like something's wrong with it. So I think maybe at some point we'll just tear this whole thing down, and we'll remake it to be the real starter base that we want it to be. Is that it? There's a red sheep. Hello. Oh my gosh, there's sheep stuck in here. No. I'll help you, don't worry. There we go. Right, so now that we've got the talking bit out of the way, let's just really quickly, we are going to see if we can start clearing out this whole forest / jungle section. It kind of is a mixture of both now, isn't it? We're going to start clearing it out, because we need to start as soon as we can laying at least the outer walls of the castle and stuff. So I think we're just going to do the hop and a skip. We got it all finished. This actually, staring at this now, I feel a bit of sadness. This poor jungle. Granted, you know, I will be fixing it very soon. I'll be doing some terraforming and stuff, like all these like big cuts into the ground and stuff. I'm gonna terraform that and then try to make it like some I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna try to terraform it to make it pretty again. And then we'll go through and maybe we'll add a couple of the custom jungle trees around the apothecary, just to make it feel like it's a bit more put into place. But I don't know if there'll be actual jungle trees. Maybe there'll be like big willow trees or something, or like those little floppy ones. What are those called? The ones that like grow downwards or something. Either way, I think it'll fit really nicely into the jungle. Moving on. Here's all the stuff we managed to do in the past couple days. So we've got this thing all completely fully flattened. I did make sure to preserve the pumpkins so that I could write them down on a piece of paper, and then we will redistribute the names to another location, or maybe we could do like what we did in the last series with like the adventure log, and we'll put all the names in a book. Maybe we'll do that. Anyway, we've got this all flattened. We've got a majority of this piece flattened here, because I think at some point the castle might overlap over to this side, and if it doesn't, maybe I can turn this whole piece over here into like a panda reserve or something, because I've had this panda here stuck in these pieces of bamboo forever. Oh no, wait a second. Oh wait, no, sorry, it was this one. This is the panda. This is the panda I'm thinking of. This is just a new... Did this one just spawn? I've never seen this panda before. Can pandas spawn in the jungle? I thought you could only... You get what you get. And then, you know, you can breed them and stuff. Well, I can breed them now. Panda sanctuary. Also, I do know pandas can spawn, but I didn't know if... Can they respawn? Like after world generation? I don't know how these things work. Because I know I've had these pandas here for a good long while. Or at least... I knew I had this one. Panda shenanigans aside, I need to explain what it is we need to get done for this video. So since I've got all this stuff flattened, I think my next objective for this location is to start laying out the outer walls, and then maybe one of the inner walls of the apothecary castle. I know it is very circular, but I definitely do think that this is one of my better builds I've ever done. In fact, I think it's the best build I've I've ever done, maybe ever. I've always wanted to build a castle, but I was never really in the right theme to do so. I am very excited to start building this castle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start building the giant circle that is going to be the outer wall of the apothecary, and then we're gonna have a smaller rock circle in the middle where all of the buildings and stuff are going to be sitting on top of. Now the outer wall I think is going to have some towers connected to it, and maybe some smaller house entrances, or like little offshoots. Oh, maybe we can do like a archway across. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But we need to get started because there is so much work I need to do to this. This video is going to be delayed significantly because this is pretty much me starting on the mega base. I have so much I have to do. I genuinely don't know how much of this I can do in one video, especially considering I've only got maybe a day and a half before I have to upload this video. So we'll see what we can do. But in the meantime, we're going to do a little hop and a skip. And there we go. So first things first is I'll be the first to admit that this is taking a week. This is taking a week for me to put down. It sounds a bit excessive considering, you know, this right here is all I've got so far. I also just realized I didn't even show it. So here's what we got so far. We've got the giant outer wall with a couple of the watchtowers on the outside. Although maybe they shouldn't be watchtowers. Maybe they could just be like storage or something for all the different like fruits and stuff that are going to be growing inside of it. I'll figure it out. That's okay. Anyway, we've got all these watchtowers or fruit places. We've got multiple entrances, which are all these little buildings here, plus the main entrance, which is going to be this little draw gate thing. I don't know what these are called, but it raises up and down like one of those old castle door things. You know what I'm talking about. So we've got all the same designs because I mean this is the outer wall and it is just a circle, so it's going to be pretty repetitive. We've got all the resources here available for the next portions of the building. So we've got a bunch of deep slate, we've got lots of bricks, lots of stone material, and a lot of different types of wood. But the wood stuff we're gonna have to use at a later time because we are moving on to the stone part. So this right here, this is just the wooden outer wall, and then right where this grass right here stops, there's going to be another wall that's going to be made of stone. So it's like the foundation for the bigger buildings that are going to be in the middle, like the actual like living quarters and all the many different residential houses that people would be living in for a castle and stuff. But is it residential, or is a castle like a job? Can people live in the castles? I don't know anything. Except that I really want to go fishing. I've just been tinkering away at this, and then really only fishing in between, just so I could mend up my tools a little. Oh my goodness, look at this inventory. I did manage to save the names for all the pumpkins and stuff, so we've got 6 pages of names here that we need to do something with. If you've got any recommendations for where I could store these names and stuff, I would be very much appreciated, or appreciative. Thank you. So now we've got this big old beautiful wall all fully constructed and stuff. We need to try to get started on the inner wall now. So we've got to start building up the deep slate and all the different types of tiles and stuff that we're going to be using for this, which is I think it might actually be every single piece of deep slate block there is. At least, you know, deep slate like bricks and stuff, like all the ones you can put through the stone cutter. I might have not been careful in terms of resources, so I've got that to deal with, which is lovely. So we're gonna start building up this wall now, and maybe in between all that, we'll do some more fishing and stuff as well, because I have been deprived, I tell you, of fishing. I went from fishing for almost 2 weeks straight to not fishing at all, and I think I've got withdrawals. So we're gonna do some fishing too. But first, we are going to do the deep slate wall thing. So we're gonna do a little hippity hoppity, and there we go. We got a cute little deep slate thing. Although it's quite difficult to see from this angle, isn't it? It's just a little tiny thing poking over the top. So we're gonna elytra over there. There we go. Wow, that was hard for me to look at. All right, so this really is just a creeper. Well, I didn't fix it. So really, this is just the noisy randomized like texture and stuff. I didn't really put any detail or like thought into where these things are going. I just kind of just popped all over, and I do like it because this is not at all the main point of the build. So this is just a big old deep slate wall that goes into the underside here. I was thinking that this castle, it might be an apothecary castle, right? But also I want it to be some sort of like a communal center of the sort, where like a bunch of different like marketers can get together, and then like once a week they can like sell like a farmer's market, right? So I was thinking that there where I guess they would have a farmer's market, which definitely makes sense considering this is like a greenery slash apothecary thing. So this right here, this section is going to be all the different market spaces that everybody has, like of their own like item, right? So we'll have, it's like a bazaar. There's like a bunch of different like little market stalls going all the way through here, all kinds of different llamas and cats and everybody selling all their different stuff. This was just, I was bored. And I was making a little keyhole design or something just to put right here temporarily. Right, so this is it. This is what we got so far. This is our outer, or this is our inner wall that separates the bazaar from, I guess, the actual, we're not, nope. From the actual inner stuff that castles usually would have going on inside of them, whatever that stuff might be. Oh, I guess we'll make that the actual apothecary stuff. Now, I don't know what exactly I should call this castle. Castle Fern. Nope. That's whoever says it, that's what it's gonna be. So if you have any recommendations, I am very happy to take them up. So since we've got our outer wall and all of our smaller connecting fruit storage tower, we're gonna call them watchtowers, and tinier entrances, we now need to start working on the main actual like castle pieces. So my idea for this castle is we're gonna have one larger pillar like in the middle that's gonna be very round and very tall as like the main, like the tallest point of the building, and then we're gonna have a smaller one connected to it on the side. It's all gonna be rounded roofs like the apothecary over here. We're gonna have a bunch of windows in it. We're gonna have all kinds of smaller buildings like lining the fronts here. This whole deep slate spot is gonna be completely covered in the residential and the, I still don't know much about castles. I don't know the words for these things. I don't architect. I just build. So it's gonna have the residential quarters and then the more like official like castle owner business operations and whatever that stuff is called. That's right. I forgot. I completely forgot. So while I was doing my fishing and stuff, for my very first time ever, I've been practicing how to do a bit of landscaping. Now I don't know how to do landscaping, and I don't have any experience doing landscaping, but guess what? I did my best anyway. So here it is. This is my very first attempt, and I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks okay for my first ever little piece of testing to see if this is what I want for these little cliffs. Though the first thing I am noticing is that this wall, see, it's quite flat here, so these terraforming pieces have quite a bit of depth in them, so I'm thinking I might have to push this wall back still, maybe another like 5 to 10 blocks, just so we still have enough room for like our walkways and all the maybe decorations we'll have going around the castle. But I definitely I like this terraforming style right here. This is nice. We got the dirt overhanging the stone. We've got all kinds of depth. We got little tiny nooks and crannies inside the rock, and of course, monsters spawning inside. Of course it is. Of course it's an unintentional mob farm. Anyway, I think this looks fantastic for my first ever piece of landscaping for like cliffs and stuff. And I am very, very happy with this. And it didn't even take me that long either. Like this was like, what, 20 minutes of just placing some random blocks around and then like throwing some grass on top of it. I think it came out lovely. I could totally get into this landscaping stuff. And the best part is I don't want to use Axiom or World Edit or any type of stuff for these landscaping stuff, because to me, I feel like if you can start free-flowing like landscaping and stuff, then oh my goodness, organics are going to be so much easier. So now that we've got some of the fishing out of the way, that's my cat. Let's get off the keyboard. Now that we've got some of the building and stuff out of the way, I definitely want to do some fishing now. And while we're doing some fishing, I want to explain kind of what's been going on recently with my videos and stuff. And it's that I know the uploads have been very sparse recently, and that's mostly because I moved recently, which I guess isn't much of an excuse, but it's a new setting for me, and it feels I get nervous sometimes when I do the recording, so it's a bit rough, but it's okay. I'm learning as we go, and everything's great. Also, me and the wife picked up a new kitty cat that we found on the street that was pretty messed up, and the cat was pregnant at the time. So we now have four brand new kittens in the house, and also one mom cat. So I've been struggling to take care of them pretty much every second that I'm not doing the videos and stuff, which is also who just stepped all over my keyboard, is one of the little kittens named Zeus. So the brand new kitty cat that we got, her name is Mau Mau, which is what the wife named her. We have Fifu. Oh, they're on the keyboard again. We have Fifu, or I call her Foofy. Then we've got Zeus. Then we've got Coraline Jones and Hercules. So I've got 5 new cats in the household, and it's a bit hectic. Yep. So that's pretty much all it's been. I definitely still am wanting to make a lot of videos, and I have many plans for some series and stuff in the future, very close future, I might add. I've just been really messed up with these cats. I have so many cats. I guess I'm the crazy cat guy now, but I'm doing my best to take care of them, and I am doing my very best to make these videos and design builds and do all kinds of fishing in between. So I thank you all so much for being so patient with the videos and stuff, and I hope I can get some more out as quickly as I can. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot to mention how many of the fish I caught. So I think by the end of my last video I was around 243,000 or 244,000 or something like that, and I'm currently at a whopping 252,387. Good grief, I've been busy. It has been over 2 weeks though, so it definitely makes sense. Goodness gracious, 250,000 fish caught. That is a milestone that I did not expect to be having, but I got there somehow still, and it only took me a little bit over a year so far. That's crazy. All right, Willow the Wizard, we've just about run out of time. So with that being said, I thank you all so very much for watching this episode of Fishcraft. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Bye bye.